Hello, and welcome to Just One Thing. I'm Brad Stearns, here with Lisa Stearns, and we're your hosts on this weekly exploration of simple ways to enhance your relationships, improve your health, manage your stress, and just be happier. So settle in while we discuss just one thing. Good afternoon, and welcome to the introductory episode of Just One Thing. And what we would like to do today is just talk a little bit about the podcast. We want to talk about what the podcast will be about, how often it will be produced, talk a little bit about why we wanted to do a podcast, and I guess a little bit about our own backgrounds and why we feel qualified to talk about the things that we will. So, do you want to explain, Lisa, why we want to call it Just One Thing?
Yeah, we went round and round trying to think of what was the appropriate title in terms of sharing the information that we had, and we just kept coming back to both of our philosophies in the businesses that we have in helping people change their lives. And it was always, if you could just do this one little thing,
right.
if you could just incorporate this one small thing as opposed to this giant thing, that's where change happens.
Exactly. Now, Lisa works as a business coach, and I work as a health and fitness coach, and oftentimes people just try to do too much too soon, and I always advise people, let's just pick one thing,
right,
and we work on it. Oftentimes even that one thing is just too big and too ambitious, and we try to break it down into something that really is manageable and achievable, in 1 week, and you focus on it. I always come back myself to the idea of purposeful practice.
Okay.
It's just not 10,000 hours makes you an expert.
Right.
It's 10,000 hours of purposeful practice. You pick one thing, you work on it till you master it, it becomes a habit, whatever, then you go on to the next thing. And you sort of build on that, you stack those habits, you stack those skills, and you can become, a great business person, you can become healthier and fitter, you can become a master of skateboarding, snowboarding, music, what have you.
Right.
And that's the philosophy of that. And I think we wrestled also with the topics that we wanted to cover because we come from a little bit different backgrounds. So we actually found some areas where we thought we would mesh and overlap. So why don't you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, so the areas
four
that
areas.
we really overlap. As a business coach, I'm always looking at what is, again, goals. So how do we reach the goals that we want to reach? And that happens through mindfulness for me. It's an awareness of what you want to do and how you're going to get there, and being present and connected to your authentic self, your most inner core, however you want to, your compass, for however you want to look at that. And the other thing to me was a feeling of success, and I equated that with happiness. So the two that I kind of felt like overlapped was what we call happier, and the other one is
When Life Is Not a Beach.
When Life Is Not a Beach.
That's all about stress management and mindfulness, those kinds of things.
Right. And so what were the ones that I felt like really called on to build to you?
And the one that was for me was health and fitness, because that's always been my passion. And since I've retired from being a government executive, I've gone back into that. Although I always had my hand in it for really over 40 years, I really wanted to get back into health and fitness. And my initial focus was on athletes and high-end performers, but what I have found over the last year or so is that I really want to help people, who are sedentary, they're unhealthy, they may not think they have time to be healthy, but if you work on just one thing, you'll find that you can become healthier and more fit. And then the other area where we overlap, because we do it together, and that is relationships.
Relationships, yes. You and me, babe.
You and me, babe. That's the sort of the theme of that. We've been married now for, I guess we'll say 40 years. It's been a very successful marriage from my perspective.
Yes, absolutely.
We raised two, high-performing, highly well-adjusted young men, and I think we've done a very, very good job at it. We've worked at it. There's a lot of lessons that we have learned that we thought we would share some of those as well.
Yeah, so that's really the areas that we feel are the key components to what both of us really focus our practices on. And to me, they are key areas in life that are.
So if you can manage your stress, if you can have healthy, productive relationships, if you can become healthier and more physically fit, You probably will be happier, but there are other specific things that you can do to become happier as well. And what we intend to do is talk about each one of those 4 areas in succession over the course of a month. So we'll publish or produce a show once a week. It probably will run about 15 minutes, just a little bit of chunk of time. You don't have to devote a lot to it, but we'll give you one thing each week that you can think about, work on, maybe incorporate into your life. Maybe all of them won't be appropriate for you, but hopefully you will pick up some things that you can think about, work on, and actually make your life a little better by just working on just one thing. Did you want to talk a little bit more about your background and where you came from? And then I can just very briefly talk about me too. And if you want to really get details, I would suggest you go to our websites. Your website is?
www.lisastearns.com.
And mine's www.bradstearns.com, where I talk about my background both as an executive and as a health and fitness professional. And talk about my coaching philosophies and style. And we will have links to the podcast on each of our websites as well.
Right. And I think what you forgot to mention, I think, and failed to mention, which is really important, is your lifetime devotion to wellness, to bodybuilding, to a healthy lifestyle. And I think that is the core of you and why you want to help people.
Yeah, literally, I've probably read hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pages on health and fitness. I am an active multi-sport athlete, and I'm working with a number of clients, and I've worked with them over the years. I've learned some tricks of the trade that really make health and fitness accessible to anybody. And then I worked for over 30 years as a senior executive and systems engineer for the federal government, where, when it comes to relationships, managing change, I've learned how to work with folks and coach them to embrace just one thing, to create organizations, to create high-performing workers, to communicate a little better, which is key to relationship building, etc.
And for me, I started, I'm a Jill of all trades, not a jack of all trades, but over the last 10 years have really started out looking at, I would say my focus and my path is more driven by my own experience. And over the last 10 years in trying to heal myself, both internally in terms of my soul and my spirit, and also my body, I started out reading a lot of communication books and really understanding that along the way I felt as though I had lost my voice, and recognizing the importance of speaking from a place of power and confidence, and also recognizing the importance of women in general being able to speak from that place. And that became what my first kind of step into business coaching was, helping women find their voice. And then after that, it kind of became a broader topic in terms of people just, okay, well, I found my voice, but I really want to be a good, entrepreneur. I want to be a massage therapist. I want to be a better realtor or whatever, and providing the answers to some of those questions, as well as launching my Ms. Biz Morning networking group.
Some of the background in our stress management, I started meditating, in graduate school. 35 years ago. You come to it a little bit later. We both had some training in mindfulness-based stress reduction. I know you're pursuing advanced study there, and you're a certified yoga instructor as well. So we have a lot of background in meditation, stress management, how to deal with all of the things that life throws at you. And in this day and age, everybody is experiencing, I guess they call it overwhelm. I like to say you are overwhelmed. But overwhelm is the way that people describe it now, and there are a lot of techniques that we can help you with, one thing at a time, to deal with the stress that you experience in your life.
So I think it's just a matter of, I think we are both voracious readers. We are also both very curious, and when we get an interest in a subject area, I feel like we cover it until the information runs out, so to speak.
Well, and I think as well, I'm not just a reader and absorber of knowledge. To me, the important thing is what do I do with that?
Absolutely.
How do I make my life better? It's one thing to know something, it's another thing to do something. And I have a lot of experience both with myself, with my clients, of actually applying those things and see if they work.
Right.
Can you do those things? And breaking it down into very simple
Manageable.
steps
Yes.
that is
Yes.
something that you can incorporate and just sort of build into your life
Right.
without. I like to change people's lives without them even really realizing that their life is being transformed.
Right.
Just one thing at a time over a period of a year or 2 years, you can become a totally different person.
Yes, and I'm living proof of that.
Absolutely. So
So that's a little bit about us, and we're looking forward to sharing this information. We love sharing the knowledge and hoping that we are giving people tips and tools that they can use to impact their lives, to just be happier, to have a happier, more well-balanced life.
So look next week for our first episode that will cover a particular topic, and we will try to get one out to you every week. So until next episode of Just One Thing, stay tuned.